Hey everyone, and welcome to the AI Show. I am Cassie Brevu, and today we have a special guest and a surprise for you. We are going to be talking about how we can understand machine learning to improve employee training, and we are going to be talking to Jennifer Marsman. So let's have her join us now. Hey Jennifer, how are you?
Hey Cassie, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So glad to have you on here. You actually inspired me to get into machine learning, so I feel super special to be able to talk to you today. And one thing about that too, we have the surprise that I was talking about is that Jennifer is going to be joining us as a host more frequently. So we're super excited for that. Yes, everyone's internally clapping and excited that we get to hang out with you more. At least I know I am. So
It should be a
what are
lot
we
of
going to be
fun.
talking about? What's that?
It should be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So today, I know that everyone is just going nuts with Build coming up. Hopefully everyone has already registered. If not, make sure you register online for Build. Cassie and I are both going crazy, and Seth and the whole team at Microsoft, everyone is working really hard to make sure that there's an amazing experience at Build. So for today, we just want to show you a short demo. And one of the things, or one of the reasons that I created this demo, I actually created this almost a year ago. It was right after Build last year. And what I'm going to show you is a little demo that I created to help with training new employees. And the reason I created this, there was a couple of reasons, honestly. One of them was the fact that like training employees is expensive, right? If you think about
Mhm.
how the cost of just like getting, having new employees, and especially when you think about scenarios, like I was thinking about the fast food industry or like even just like working at a restaurant, right? There's really high employee turnover. And so when you think about like the training that needs to go in to learn how to work like a commercial grade frying machine and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that has to go into that. And when you are dealing with something where like someone may come, just work for the summer and then leave, like you're left with this problem of like a really expensive scenario of having to keep training new people and keep training new people. And so how can you do this more effectively was my question. And then my second reason was actually because of I wanted an example that was not like chatbots. You know, I
Yeah.
feel like there are so many great. So first of all, I let me be really, really clear here. I love chatbots. Chatbots are an amazing example. I use chatbots every day. I use ones in my home. I use ones to help with my coding. Like I am constantly using Copilot and ChatGPT and all of our amazing uh, assistants that we have out there. But the main point, so I'm not anti-chatbot at all. But what I am anti is when people believe that chatbots are the only scenario, because
True. Yeah.
there's so many more things you can do than just like have a assistant, right? There's other things you can do. And so this is an example of like a non-chatbot where you can use a large language model. In this case, I'm using GPT-4, but you could probably do this with other models as well to help aid with something. So
That's
we
so
can.
cool. I love that because I know we see a lot of like and it kind of came out as ChatGPT, like people that weren't, into machine learning and kind of in the space. A lot of people were introduced to AI as a chat scenario, even though
Right.
we've been using AI for all types of scenarios way
So many things.
before the GPT models
Yes.
came out, right? Doing all
Yes.
kinds of forecasting and summarization
Right.
and probably using it more than you even
Mhm.
realized.
Yes.
Um,
Recommendation engines, all kinds of stuff
yeah.
that people would use in their daily lives. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But then it got
Um,
big around chat, so everybody kind of got hyper focused on bots. But yeah, like you said, there's so many different things we can use machine learning for and large language models. So I'm super excited for this demo to kind of hopefully get people's minds thinking about even more ways that we can start leveraging these powerful foundational models.
yeah. Cool. Cool.
All right, so I'm
Would you
gonna
like to see?
yes, let me play the bumper, and then you can get right into all the goodness. So I'm gonna hand off to our guest and new host.
All right, welcome back to the AI show. And we are going to dive into this example of how to train an employee using GPT-4. So, what I've done is I created some code. And by the way, all of this code is available that you can check out on your own afterwards. It is available on my GitHub repo. I will share the link at the end, but you can feel free to take advantage of all of this code yourself. And so what I'm doing is we have a little kind of intro blurb right here. And then I wanted to make it super easy for people to utilize on their own. So let me see if I can move this actually. There we go. Let's get this out of here. So what you can do is I've actually just copied and pasted right here in this window, and this is modifiable, so you can change this and replace this with your own text. But I grabbed a manual, a commercial grade. I looked up and found a commercial grade fryer manual online. And so I've stuck it in here. And then what I'm going to do is ask my GPT-4 model to generate a quiz question for me. So I'm going to click go on that and have it start generating. And while I'm doing that, let's jump into the code and I can show you exactly what's happening under the covers. All right. I'm going to move this all the way off. There we go. All right, so what I am doing here is I'm pulling in a couple of helpers here, and then I'm loading all of the information about my Azure OpenAI service. So if you are familiar with the Azure OpenAI service, you know that you have to have an endpoint and a key, and then you want to point it to your deployment name. I typically name my deployments after the model that I'm using. So this deployment is just called GPT-4. And so all of this will set those as environment variables that it pulls from this .env file. And then you can load them all right here. Easy peasy. All right, I am using LangChain for this example. So I created something to set this up, a new instance of GPT-4. And then in this code, it's really, really simple, you guys. Two little Python methods right here. And then at the bottom, I'm using Gradio for my setup. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gradio. I love it because I am not a UI person. I have spent over 20 years at Microsoft being bad at UI. It is, it's tricky because it almost feels like, I don't know. I could never keep up with what was the cool JavaScript framework, right? Like, what is in right now? Is it React? Is it like it would keep changing, and I just could not keep up with what was cool. So I've managed to avoid being good at UI design for over 20 years. I just focused on machine learning, and other people were good at it. So Gradio is great for people like me who love machine learning and are not good at UI because it makes it super easy to do some UI stuff. So what I've done, this last little section here is just using Gradio to set up that UI that you just saw. So what it is I in that text box that you saw right there, I pulled in the stuff from the deep fryer. Here's the actual place where I grabbed the manual from, in case you want to see the reference. And then I have text from there pulled in. And then I just set up those two rows. And within the row, I have, and the first one was kind of the top where you saw the little logo and that little intro. And then here below is where you see where I set up all of this section, this little excerpt from the manual, and then the AI generated quiz question. So when I clicked this generate quiz question button, what happened was it called this first function, which is right here, this generate quiz system level prompt. And there is some great guidance online for how to create a really strong system level prompt. Again, this is a really, really old demo, so I don't have protection against jailbreaking and a lot of the other responsible AI things that you would probably want to add in here to make sure it behaves appropriately, asking it to use language that would be, good for on the job. But here's what I actually did say here. Your role is a trainer to help new employees learn their job. You generate a multiple choice quiz question to train an employee when given information from the employee manuals and employee guidebooks. All right. And then you can stick whatever you want here. So in this template, what I did is I actually used this kind of pound manual and the new line, and then I stuck in whatever that rag from the manual is. And again, I have it in the UI so that way you can replace it with your own stuff. And then this will automatically suck in whatever is in that window. And then I'm giving it kind of a new section The reason that this works well, by the way, you guys, is because when you think about how these large language models were trained, a lot of them were trained on internet data at scale, right? So when you think about markdown and what works really, like kind of the format of some of these internet, what data looks like on the internet, there's a lot of like headers that look exactly like this. And so by this formatting, it recognizes this is a header. Okay, this is the manual part. This is a question, etc. And so that tends to guide the model nicely. It's a little prompt trick that I've used in the past. All right, so in this case, I have the question here, and I'm just saying the above manual is for equipment used on the job. You could replace it for whatever. And write a quiz question for a new employee to test if they understand the above content. The multiple choice question should have only one correct answer. I was originally getting questions where the answer was both C and D and those kind of things. So I did add that to my prompt at one point. And then I'm just saying quiz question and then dropping off there. Because remember that at its essence, these are continuation APIs. So it will complete what I have. So now I'm kind of signaling that I want the quiz question, and that's what it's going to give me. So I fill all of this into my prompt, this user template, the system template, all of that goes in there, and then I get my output back. So let's go back and check out what we got. All right, so let's see if I can do this. According to the manual, which of the following is a recommended practice for frying? All right, fry at temperatures. I'm going to try to not look at the left-hand side and see if I can get it. Fry at temperatures above 400. I think that's a little too high. Pack the basket tightly. No. Drain the stuff from the cold zone at least once daily. I think you are supposed to do that. And then overfill. No, overfill doesn't seem right. Okay, let's do C. This actually was felt pretty easy. Some of these have actually been kind of challenging. So I'm going to put in C, and then I clicked check answer. Now, check answer, let's take a look at what this code is actually doing. If I jump over here, you'll see that I am doing, I have that button actually invokes. When I call here on that second row, I had the AI generate quiz question, and then check answer button will call this next function called evaluate quiz. So that right here, what I'm doing is calling the model again, and I have a different system template and a different user template as well. So the system template now says your role is a quiz checker to help new employees learn their job. You evaluate a multiple choice quiz question to train an employee and the employee's answer and provide feedback. You should compliment when they do something right and gently correct when they mess up. All right. So very clear guidance on what I'm looking for here. And now I construct a template where I'm adding in all of the things that you saw before. So I have the manual, and then I pass in the same excerpt from the window. I have the quiz question. So remember that models don't fundamentally store state, right? So even though I just called an instance of GPT-4 to generate that quiz question, unless I've stored off chat history, it has no idea that it was the one that generated that question. So I can put in the excerpt. I'm just putting in that exact same quiz question that was model generated, but it doesn't even know that. I'm putting in the answer that the user gave here. And now I'm asking a new question, which is, given the above chat history, is the employee's answer correct? Write a short assessment of how they did. All right, so given this manual with the right answer, this quiz question, and this user answer, is it right? And then again, I'm kind of prodding that what I want next is the assessment, go, and then it will do a completion there. And then passing these all in the exact same way, filling out the right things, and then getting that output back. And then I'm dumping all of this for debug purposes as well. But you should see it here. It says, yes, the employee's answer is correct. According to the manual, it's a good practice to drain the kettle, filter fat, and remove all residue from the cold zone at least once daily. Let's see if we can actually find where it says. Oh, yeah, here we go. It was down here. Cool. All right, so option C is right. All right, and then, of course, it does the little cheerleading, which I asked it to do. Good job on carefully reading and understanding the manual. Keep it up. So I leave with a feel-good feeling. All right, so let's see if it gets it right if I actually give it a wrong answer. So I'm going to give it another try. Let's say I know that A is wrong. Frying at temperatures above 400. 400 is hot, man. Frying that high it would be a little bit scary, I think. So let's just check and make sure that's wrong. So I'm giving it a second to check the answer, and then it does in fact do as requested, and give me a not quite correct. So the employee's answer is incorrect. According to the manual, the correct answer would be C, drain the kettle. So it told me what was the right answer. And I chose A, which contradicts the manual's guidance of not allowing fat in the kettle to be heated above 375. And then here's the gentle correction part. It's important for the employee to thoroughly read and comprehend each guideline to avoid such errors in the future. Don't be discouraged, though. Everyone makes mistakes when they're learning. Keep trying. Aw, love it. So nice. All right, so we can actually go through and generate more quiz questions as well. So let me try at least one more. Now, do keep in mind, if you remember the code that we just looked at, I did not store the chat history from previous questions. That is something I could add on to make it even better. So it could be a little bit repetitive. So let's see. But no, it does give me a different question, which is wonderful. What is the proper frying temperature? I think it's B. Let's see, B. And then you can imagine that if I were a real employee, if you were giving this to an employee, what you would do is they would only see the right half of the screen, right? Like this is the section that you would give to the actual employee to see. But as a demo and to make sure that it was really clear, I did put an actual manual on here so that we could check our answers and know what's right. And what also makes this fun is that you can replace this. So feel free to just delete this frying manual and add your own things here as well. My daughter is actually in the process of taking the AP exams right now in high school. I don't know if any of you also have kids going through that process right now, but like I also was like messing around with like, okay, let's try, are there study things that you could put here, or give me organic chemistry questions, or like all of these different things that you can do right there. And then you can imagine just slapping a for loop on that and iterating over, a textbook of content, and then generating questions on the fly to help study. There's all kinds of really cool scenarios right there that you could do. All right. So what is the proper frying temperature? I did say B, right? And I checked that. Yes, that is correct, which is good. And again, I can do the wrong answer and it should correct me, but I think we got that. So feel free to leverage this if it is of any use to you, if you are trying to study for anything or just want to check it out and see a use case that is not a chatbot, but another cool way to learn. I've put like best practices for if you're kind of learning to do new things, best practices and such here, and it can generate questions on whatever content you throw in here. So feel free to utilize that. And let me also just show you the code right here. If I go to github.com, Jennifer Marsman, and we pull up the this code right here. It's the GPT training is the one that we were looking at. So feel free to take a look at this and give it a try yourself. I documented in the README how to get your own Azure OpenAI service. So feel free to check that out. Just update the environment variable with these things right here. And then here's exactly run the code. I'm using Anaconda on Windows, but you can do it however you'd like. But this method should work. All right, so feel free to take a look at that if that is helpful to you. And then finally, like the kind of key challenge I want to leave you with today, because I know we're almost at the top of the hour. The key challenge I want to leave you with is, what are things that you can do with large language models that are not chatbots? All right. So there's all kinds of really neat opportunities. There are things like can you have a GPT model, for instance, play the role of your user or play the role of a tester on your product? Can you have it ask questions like a customer would? Like there's all kinds of really neat scenarios that you can leverage to see if to see what could happen. So just try to think about that pattern as a whole. Like how can you have that GPT model help you in other ways by playing the role of other your employee or your customer or that sort of thing? That could help. All right, are there any questions from today? I'm not seeing any in the chat. I'm happy to take questions if there's any. Otherwise, we can go. So let me just give it a quick second. Any questions on any of that? All right, I'm not seeing any questions. If you do, feel free to reach out on Twitter or on LinkedIn or any other things. My name is Jennifer Marsman. I'm happy to answer any questions if you think of some later. Otherwise, I hope that was helpful, and I will see you guys at Build. Take care.